Hi, I'm Walt. Nice to be with you today. I know it could be any hour these days with the internet. So let's see, it's my pleasure to get to offer you some short teachings at this point, and then we'll have a sit for a few minutes, do a little formal practice. I thought I would talk a little bit about right view, one of the topics that I return to a lot because it's just so helpful in my practice. One of my teachers, Said Al-Hutejaniya, um, he has said, one thing about right view, it's very important because if we don't have right view, then we pretty much automatically have wrong view. And we don't want to be caught in wrong view for many reasons, but so what is this right view, wrong view? And there's various elements, we could have an hour long talk on it easily, but just to touch on a few things that have been helpful for me, uh, maybe I'm gonna share a quote from some prison work to kind of, there's a program that started out of San Quentin prison by a guy named Jacques Verdun. And the quote is, how many, and he's talking to folks that are incarcerated, says, how many of you are here in prison because of what you did? Then he kind of pauses. And how many of you are willing to consider that you are really here because you believed the thoughts that told you to do what you did? You believed the thoughts that told you to do what you did. So in other words, in a way, these most crimes start with wrong view, that we might have somebody might have a thought that they kind of believe, and they believe they have to act from that thought. And we've all been there. Hopefully we haven't all committed crimes as a result, but you get the idea. It's very powerful for me. I've done quite a bit of volunteer work in prison, and so this it's very real when you think about the amount of time people spend incarcerated based on an act they did because, as he says, they believed something that wasn't necessarily true. And often what we believe is we take something personally that wasn't really so personal. And also in that program they have a practice where they give everybody a Q-tip to carry around. This is real. And the Q-tip stands for quit taking it personally. And it's a reminder, so they'll keep it in their shirt pocket. Um, you know, so that's something I offer you today is just, when you find yourself irritated, agitated, check in, notice if you're taking something personally that maybe really isn't so personal. And it can be, uh, part of it is we don't see all the causes and conditions that things are arising out of. And so we kind of jump to assumptions in many different ways. Uh, Trying not to be too vague here, but I know um, for myself, this can happen when something doesn't go my way. And I somehow think it reflects on me personally that I'm somebody who just never gets what they want because this didn't go my way or whatever. But if we really check in, we can notice quickly that's not right view. We're adding extra suffering on top of what happened. Hopefully this is making sense. It's a really interesting topic to explore, this idea of right view. And also, I guess for me, what's helpful is to check in and say, am I stuck in a wrong view about this situation? And so, in the classic Buddhist sense, it would be taking something to be self that isn't really self, is more how we talk about it. There is a great analogy in the suttas about a dog on a leash. I don't know if you've heard this one, but it says, suppose a dog tied up on a leash was bound to a strong post or pillar. If it walks close to that post or pillar. If it stands, it's standing next to the pillar. If it sits or lies down, it's always next to the pillar, right? And so too, the uninstructed worldling, that's the phrase here in the suttas, regards form thus: this is mine, this I am, this is myself. And if this person walks, he walks close to those five aggregates subject to clinging. And the five aggregates, that's a classic kind of Buddhist teaching. The first one is form, really is our body. I think sort of nama rupa, name and form. So there's basically taking this body to be self. The next one would be Vedana, feeling tone. We take our experience is either pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, and we kind of form a self around what we like and what we don't like. There's, again, this is a really complicated teaching in a way, one worth exploring. But but what was really interesting to me is in the footnotes for this dog on a leash thing, the dog would be the person, the uninstructed worldling, but the leash is the view. So we're bound to the post just by this view, which is in this case a wrong view if we're an uninstructed worldling. So just food for thought around, we don't want to tie ourselves to a leash with these views that might be, detrimental to our own well-being, sense of happiness. We might be tying ourselves down unnecessarily. I'll give you one other example. I was telling somebody, a friend of mine, a Buddhist friend, who I was mentioning that on Zoom, I found it distracting to have the image of myself on the screen while I'm trying to talk. And he said, then he told me about how you can hide self-view literally on the screen. You probably figured this out by now. But it was amazingly liberating to hide self-view. And the other thing was that he said was, oh, you must be taking that little square to be you. And I love that because it's so true. We see the little square, it is some kind of reflection of us, but is that really me? Just, so this is one way we kind of concoct a view out of all this stuff that's not really serving us necessarily. And anyway, I don't want to run out of time for some formal meditation. So with all of these thoughts, just maybe let them subside for now. And let's do a little bit of practice. I'm going to tell one last story. I have a young daughter and she likes to go, we like to go to the park together and take little hikes. And we'll be at the park hiking and she'll say, tell me a story, Daddy, tell me a story. And sometimes I do tell her a story, but I also try to say, well, we're living the story right now. What if we can just really be here in this experience together and the story will unfold in real time. I try to put it in language that she understands. She doesn't tend to go along with it. She's like, but I really like stories. But this is kind of what we're doing in meditation as well. We're dropping the story and we're practicing just being here for a few minutes. So with that, I invite you to find that comfortable upright posture, settle, might take a deep breath or two, feel the contact with the chair or cushion, feel the hands, feel your feet or your legs. Just establishing mindfulness rooted here in the body. Just allowing the mind to let go of the need to kind of think too much right now or judge. Just very simply coming back to what's here in this moment, sitting, feeling the breath, feeling the back supporting us, noticing tension in the head that we might release or soften around, tension in the shoulders, the back, just relaxing, settling, breathing. And with sound, we may be aware of sounds in the room or outside the room where we are. Just letting the sound arise and pass away in the background for now. And with thoughts, aware of the thoughts arising, letting them pass us on by, not, again, not taking them as self. Thought is just a thought. If it's helpful, you can use the breath to anchor your meditation or other objects, the sense of the body sitting here, sensations in the body. Whatever helps you be grounded, present, aware, not lost in thought. And with the breath, we're just letting the body breathe naturally, gently resting our attention on each in breath and out breath. And meeting whatever arises with a sense of kindness for ourselves, compassion, caring. This moment is like this. And just allowing sounds to come and go. Daughter just you heard her. She wanted to say hi, but so when there is a disruptive sound, it's helpful to use that to check in, notice if we were being mindful in that moment, or if we were lost in a story or plan, memory. If we were, it's not a problem. Just good to notice when we're getting carried away. Gently come back to the next breath or reconnect with that sense of the body sitting here. Feel the contact with the chair, cushion. Kind of reestablish mindfulness. And if we do notice that we're suffering a little in this moment, again, meeting that with compassion for ourselves. Oh, there's some tenderness here, some pain, emotional or otherwise. Sometimes it's helpful to even put a hand to the chest or chest in the belly, really support ourselves. Again, I've seen a room full of men in prison meditating and all holding themselves just in this way. It's a very moving image to see. I offer that just as a way to give permission. It's always okay to do that. If you feel the need for extra self support, we're developing an internal refuge for ourselves with this practice. Because every day is different. We never know what this day may bring in our lives. But mindfulness can always be beneficial with whatever we need to face in our day. And in a moment, I'll ring the bell to end this sitting. But in the meantime, you can always begin your meditation now, even if you've been distracted this whole time. You can take a conscious breath. Kind of arrive fully here in this moment. And see it as clearly as possible, not needing to identify with anything that's not really self. And may any merit that arises from our practice together be for the benefit of all beings everywhere. May all beings, including ourselves, be happy, peaceful, and free. So, thank you for your practice today.